Welcome back to the Wardrill Weekly Meta Report. I am Sarv, your faithful cogitator. The sourcing note first. BCP is where every one of these numbers comes from, so any tournament that used a different app is a blind spot for me, and you should read all of this with that in mind. Now, this weekend looks small at first glance, and it is worth explaining why it is not. 9 singles grand tournaments, 465 lists. That is half of what we had last Monday. But the players did not stay home. They went to team events. 5 team grand tournaments ran, and between them they took 761 lists against 465 in singles. The biggest single thing that happened this weekend was an international team tournament with 355 players in it. So the singles board is thin because the weekend went somewhere else. And the yardstick before any of it means anything. 50% is the number Games Workshop aims at. Sitting above it means an army is doing well, sitting under it means it is having a hard time, and the size of that gap is most of the information. Let's get into it. Let's open where we always do, with the singles grand tournament board. Strongest army down to weakest. Orcs are back on top. 61.9% across 21 lists, up 9.5 on the week, and they took 2 of the 9 trophies. Now, 21 lists is a third of the orc field we had last Monday, so I did the obvious check. Take both of their winning lists out of the pool entirely, and the rest of the orc players still come in at 59.2. Still top of the board. It is not 2 people carrying it. What I will say about the orcs is that this is not new, and it has not been new for weeks. They are top of the whole edition so far at 57.3 across 330 lists. They ate a round of price rises, and they are still here. My own read, and it is a read, I think nothing has happened to them because there is an orc codex coming. It has been announced, it is the first codex of 11th edition, and Games Workshop has not given a date. If you are holding a book that is about to rewrite an army anyway, you are probably not spending a data slate on it first. Whether that book makes them better or worse is a completely separate question, and I am not going to pretend I know. Behind them, Leagues of Votann, 56.6 on 19. Thousand Sons, 54.4. Custodes, 53.7 on 21. And Space Marines have climbed back over the line, 51% on 34 lists, up nearly 5. That one has a name attached to it. 12 of those 34 Marine lists were on the same thing, Forge Father Seekers paired with the Librarius Conclave. That is the single most brought detachment combination in the entire Grand Tournament field this weekend, and it came in at 61.9. Which is a swing because last Monday that same pairing was 18 lists at 46.3. Fewer people brought it, and it did considerably better. Dark Angels, 51.9 on 25. Space Wolves, 51.6. Necrons, 51.4 on 28. And Emperor's Children, 51.3. Everyone at 50 and under now. Chaos Demons gave the whole of last week straight back. They were top of this board 7 days ago at 56.8. This week, they are 48% on 20 lists, down 8.8, and they took no trophy. Last Monday, I said there was no single build holding that number up. This week, they are more scattered rather than less. 20 lists spread across 13 different detachment combinations, and the biggest of those is 3 lists. The pairing that won them a trophy last week is down to 2 lists. Above them, World Eaters have landed exactly on 50, Tau at 49.7, Adeptus Mechanicus level with them, and Death Guard at 49.6, which is a 6.5 point climb. The 2 I flagged as noise last week did not bounce. Eldari were down 8 then, and they are down again now, 44.2 on 16 lists. Blood Angels were down 7 then, and they are 45.3 now, also on 16. 2 weekends pointing the same way is more interesting than 1, and 16 lists is still 16 lists, so I am telling you the numbers and leaving it there. And yes, that is my army. Ouch. Chaos Space Marines 46.1, Imperial Knights 46.8, Black Templars 41.7, and Drukhari finished last at 39.8 on 8 lists. On to the units. And remember, this segment is about how often something gets brought rather than how often it wins. 1 row per datasheet, so a unit that several armies can field is counted once across all of them. Scout squads are still the most brought thing in the game, 3 Mondays running now, in 13.8% of lists. Behind it, the Intercessor Squad at 11.9, up 2.6, and the Blade Guard Veteran Squad up about 2.5. Lieutenant with Combi Weapon, Land Raider Redeemer, and Vanguard Veterans with Jump Packs are all climbing too. That is a lot of Space Marine infantry moving the same direction in the same week, and it sits alongside the Marine faction number going up nearly 5 points. Going the other way, Gretchen and Boys both slid, and so did the Infiltrator Squad. The other thing worth showing you is what left. Last week, I walked you through a Necron build filling in Skorpek Destroyers, the Skorpek Lord, and Necrosaur Amintar, all arriving in the top 40 at once. This week, all 3 of them are gone from it, and the Necron faction number went up 3.5 points while that happened. I would hold that one loosely. The pool halved this weekend, and a top 40 build out of half as many lists moves around a lot more easily. Read the direction of travel, not the exact decimal.
Force dispositions, and the standing caveat first, because it matters more here than anywhere else on the sheet. Nobody is forced to declare a disposition when they register. So some of this is just down to who bothered. With that said, Reconnaissance is the best disposition on the board this weekend by a distance, 58.6% across 55 lists. Second place is Taken Hold at 50.5. That is a 9-point gap, and it turns up twice independently. 5 of the 9 Grand Tournament champions this weekend declared Reconnaissance. So the win rate says it, and the trophy list says it, and those are 2 different measurements. I checked the obvious objection, which is that 5 champions in a 55 list pool would flatter it. Take all 5 of them out, and Reconnaissance still comes in at 55.2, against Taken Hold on 49.4, measured the same way. It survives losing its own winners. What I cannot tell you is whether Reconnaissance is good, or whether the armies that are currently good happen to be sitting on it. The Recon pool leans on a small number of strong pairings, and I can see both explanations in the same numbers. My gut says the disposition is genuinely good. That is a gut call, and I am labeling it as one. The other thing about Reconnaissance this week is that fewer people picked it, not more. Its share of declared lists fell from just under 16% to 12.5%. Taken Hold is still the most picked at 32%. Now, the Librarius Conclave. Last week it was quietly sliding, and this week it is up. 49.9 to 54.9, and it took a trophy. Something people say about that detachment is that you slide it in for 1 detachment point to unlock the reconnaissance it grants, and that the disposition is the real reason it is in the list. So I checked what Conclave players actually declare. Across the whole edition, it is almost dead even across all 5 dispositions. Priority assets, 28%, Reconnaissance, 27%, Taken Hold, 23%, Purge the Foe, 19%. And these last 3 days pushed it further still in the opposite direction. 14 of the 24 Conclave lists declared priority assets. 6 declared Reconnaissance. So whatever people are buying the Conclave for, on this evidence, it is mostly not the posture. They are keeping the disposition of the detachment they paired it with. What the Conclave actually prints is one ability, a psychic discipline you choose fresh at the start of every battle round, and the choices include 2 extra inches of movement on everything, or re-rolling 1s to hit and to wound. It is just a different way to play the army. 2 quick ones to finish. Purge the Foe stopped falling. Its share is flat, 18.3% both weeks. And I can tell you the supply side did not move either, because the number of detachments granting each disposition is unchanged. And Disruption nearly doubled its share, 5.4% up to 9.4%, while staying last on win rate at 45.3%.
Since I've just spent 5 minutes telling you Reconnaissance is winning, it is only fair I tell you I am about to find out the hard way. I am taking a Reconnaissance list to a 5-round grand tournament at Tucker Brewing Company in Georgia on the 22nd and 23rd of August. Blood Angels, Fulguris Task Force paired with the Angelic Host. And I want to be honest about how thin the ground under this is. I went and looked in our own corpus for anyone who has run that pairing. 19,500 lists on record, every event size, and it comes back 0. Nobody. On top of that, Blood Angels on Reconnaissance is 2 lists in the entire edition, against 89 on Take and Hold. So my army is a take and hold army by every number I have, and I am doing the other thing. The reason I like it is movement, and it is all printed on the cards. Fulguris Task Force gives land speeders an ingress move in my first movement phase, so 3 of them can arrive turn 1. The Angelic Host lets me pull up to 2 jump pack units off the board at the end of my opponent's turn and deep strike them back in next turn. And the Scout Squad is my home sitter, screening the backfield with the option to pick itself up and leave, or to infiltrate forward and open a lane for the speeders to come into somewhere I want them. That is 3 separate ways of putting a body where the mission needs one, which is the whole job in Reconnaissance. 2 Sanguinary Guard squads and the Sanguinor do the hitting. It will probably change slightly before I get there. I'm still weighing a couple of small things at the back end of the list, but that is roughly what is going, and there is no data behind it at all, so it either works or it does not, and I will tell you either way. And if you think that is a mistake, tell me. I mean it. Am I being stupid taking Blood Angels into Reconnaissance when every number I have says Take and Hold? Put it in the comments and I will read them, because I would rather hear it now than find out on the Saturday. Do not go and steal it though. There are 2 Blood Angels Reconnaissance lists in the whole edition, and I would quite like it to stay that way until the 23rd, so I can claim the trend, or claim the crash and burn. Quick word before the winners. If any of this is useful to you, a like and a subscribe are the whole ballgame for a channel this size. That is what tells the YouTube cogitators to put it in front of another player. And if waiting until Monday is not for you, the same numbers update through the week on wardrill.app. Every army has its own page, you can run a list through it, and the relay tracks all of this as it lands. iOS and Android, links in the description. To everyone supporting on Patreon, thank you. It means the world to me. Right, the winners. 9 grand tournaments this past weekend, and 7 of the 9 champions went undefeated. Performance of the weekend is a 2-way split, and I am not going to pick between them. Ben Jurek took the Utah Cup 6-0 with Orcs on Warhorde, and no singles event this weekend was bigger than the Utah Cup, 125 lists deep. Charlie Andre went 6-0 at Iowag Moose-tacular with Genestealer Cult, running Biosanctic Brood Surge with Heroes of the Uprising. 2 clean sweeps, no losses between them. Both Orc trophies came on Warhorde, which is worth a sentence because of where it was. Last Monday, Warhorde was 14 lists at 48.7 and nothing to show for it. This weekend, 4 Orc players brought it, and it produced a 6-0, a 5-0 win, and another 5-0 that came second. Then, something I have not seen before. 2 of the champions ran the identical list pairing at different events on different continents. Xavier Barrera won the Blackstone GT in Mexico, 5-0. Dark Angels Company of Hunters with Dark Flight Pursuit on Reconnaissance. Luke Henderson won Keelhaul Gaming First Contact in the States, 5-0. Dark Angels Company of Hunters with Dark Flight Pursuit on Reconnaissance. Same everything. And with last week's, that pairing has now taken 3 grand tournaments in 2 weekends. The rest. Conan Jennings won the Gem City GT 5-0 with Emperor's Children on Carnival of Excess and Frenzied Host, which is his second in 2 weeks. Tom Godfrey took Crossswords in the United Kingdom. Javier Penu won in Murcia with Leagues of Votan.
Dale Welton took the auspicious Northern Showdown in Australia 4-1. And your win rate skeptic special. Space Marines spent last week below the line at 46.1, and Ashley Brown still won a grand tournament with them at Napalm Hobbies 4-1 on Forgefather's Seekers with the Librarius Conclave. Low average, high ceiling.
And the team scene, which this week is where the weekend actually was. 7 team events with a champion on record. Team Sigil, captained by Vincent Stein, took the Summer International Team Tournament, the 355-player one. The Midwest Monstars under Ryan Verbeck won the Gateway Open, 192 lists. Blunt Force Trauma, Captain Chris Haynes, took the Toronto Open. Indomitable Phalanx under Sam Young won the Tasmanian Teams Championship, and Big Dice Energy took Geekfest in Atlantic Canada. Turbulent Prime and the wonderfully named 58th Avenue Fun Factory took Grand Forks and Bridge City between them. We have only been collecting team results for a few weeks, so every weekend like this one fills the season picture in a bit more. This week's report comes to you in partnership with Onslaught Gaming. They run the numbers you have just been through past their own community every week. Links in the description. That is the weekend. A quiet one in singles because the players were at team tournaments, and 5 team grand tournaments between them ran more lists than the whole singles field. Orcs back on top, doing what Orcs have been doing all edition. Reconnaissance clear of every other disposition, and 5 of the 9 champions on it. And a fortnight from now, I will have 5 games of my own on the subject, which will either back all that up or make me look silly. Remember, test it on the table, trust your reps, and I will catch you at the next transmission. This is Sar from Wardrill, signing out.